we go. Fish on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Right at the boat. I was just contemplating bringing that in. Feels like a good fish. Oh, these trout are strong, heavy, healthy, productive environment they live in. Always nice fish. Nice and fat. Look at how silver that is. Wow. That's a nice fish. There we go. Wow. Now that's a healthy stillwater rainbow. Welcome everyone to the New Fly Fisher. I'm Phil Rowley. On today's show, it's all about approaching a new lake. I'm going to show you my favorite tricks, techniques, and tactics I use when I'm visiting a lake for the first time. It's going to be a great show.
New Fly Fisher has been made possible thanks to the support of Medicine Hat DMO, Orvis Sporting Traditions,
Today, the New Fly Fisher is coming to you from Medicine Hat, Alberta, located on the banks of the South Saskatchewan River in the southeast corner of the province. Medicine Hat is home to just over 63,000 people and is currently listed as Alberta's 6th largest city. In addition to all the amenities and accommodation options one could need, Medicine Hat is home to a number of beautiful parks, historic attractions, and a vibrant, refreshed downtown core. Medicine Hat is the perfect stepping-off point for our adventure today. Pre-trip preparation is essential to success prior to ever arriving at a new lake for the first time. There is no substitute for local knowledge. Tapping into online resources shaves time off your learning curve. If possible, download bathymetric or underwater contour maps. These maps provide clues to lake structure and help you find likely areas that will hold fish. Google Earth and Google Maps are also excellent resources. Once your pre-trip preparation is complete, use this knowledge to build a plan of attack. All that is left to do is make sure you have the necessary equipment on hand and that it is in good working order. So I've just launched the boat. I'm excited, just like you are. Anytime you go to a new body of water, or the same body of water, you want to get out there. Take the time to invest some research on the shore. Use your powers of observation. Look at the surrounding topography. Areas that have a shallow gradient into the lake are going to be shallow in nature. There's going to be shoals there. Areas that are steep gradient into the lake are likely deeper areas. These are areas that you may or may not want to go depending on the time of the season, but you know where they are. For the first time, you're looking at your bathymetric map in relation to what you're really seeing. So you know where to go, how it relates, orientates, all those kind of things, so you can figure out where to go and what to do. You want to find out what the fish may be feeding on. Check out spider webs if they're around. Great collectors of what's hatched. A quick trip to a dollar store. Get a baking sieve, cheap aquarium net, and a white bucket. Sample the shoreline areas. Turn over rocks, logs, sift through the weeds. See what's present. Let that guide your pattern and presentation choice. So again, whether it's the first time at the lake or the 100th time, invest the time on the shore to find out what's going on. So we got a good sample here. Lots of interesting things living in this lake to imitate. We've got leeches, big ones, small ones, lots of scuds, freshwater shrimp. We've even got a boatman, a couple of boatmen here, which I expect to see in the fall. And I even found a backswimmer, the larger cousin of the boatman. You want to handle those carefully. They can give you a nasty bite, but there's lots of good things in here, lots of presentation opportunities. So again, a quick trip to the dollar store to give you a trove of information to make that first foray onto this lake a success. So I did an initial cruise around the lake, looking at my bathymetric map again, relating it to what I see before me. I've chosen a spot adjacent to deep water. I've got a weed bed sitting behind me. We had some birds feeding around there, so they disturb the diving birds. They churn up food when they dive down and sift through the weeds. We saw a few fish move, so whenever you see fish move, you want to start there. So we'll give it a whirl here, see what happens. Fish on. Jesus, I just about lost the rod. That ate it on the drop. I just cast it out, waiting for the line to sink, and it just took off. Changed up, we're seeing some surface activity on boatmen and backswimmers. It's late in the afternoon, it's warm. I just changed up to a boatman pattern, and he ate it. We've just got a floating line on because we're fishing shallow here, only in 15, 16 feet of water, which may not seem shallow, but it's not that deep. And I just got a 15-foot leader weighted boatman pattern on the point, and then a backswimmer pattern on the dropper about 3-4 feet above it. And that's because fish can get on both, so you're giving them both options. Beautiful silver fish here. So again, the importance of being observant whenever you're on the water, especially when you're fishing lakes for the first time, understanding the food sources that are available at that time of the year or on the lakes, and then choosing a pattern and presentation to match what you see. Giving a good account of himself. Nice fish, there he goes. We're just gonna pick him up and move him to the upwind side. There we go. Look at the gullet on this guy. Water boatman on a jig hook. Just throw that away. And one of the best tools you can have when you're on the water is a throat pump. And careful, strategic use of this can really unlock the puzzle quickly for you when you're trying to figure out what food items are on. So what I've done is lubricated the pump by filling it full of water and squirting it, but it's empty. The wooden net is wonderful because it just floats. So it allows you 2 hands. This fish is very full of lots of energy in this fish. I'm just going to support it, if it'll let me. I'm just going to get it moist, press the bulb down, vacuum forms, and then withdraw the pump, whatever it's been eating, in there, and he's ready to go. So we'll just hold him up and see what a beautiful Alberta rainbow. Look at the belly on here. Very productive lake, lots of food to feed upon and lots of opportunities for us to imitate it. So make sure he's good and strong. Off he goes like a bullet. Wow. So again, being observant, help you figure out what's going on and what you should be doing. And there we go, proof is in the pudding. That is a backswimmer. And he has a little scud in him. So that gives proof what we're doing is correct. We've adjusted for what we're seeing. The throat pump confirms it. So again, the throat pump tells you 3 key things. Obviously, what the fish was feeding on, in that instance, a backswimmer. How deep the fish are feeding, because once you know what the food sources are and where they spend their time. And backswimmers and boatmen, although they're air breathers, up to the surface for a bubble of air, down to the bottom again where they forage around, and if they're actively feeding. So if they're actively feeding, you'll have wiggling, alive food sources, and you can use imitative techniques. If they're not actively feeding, you might want to switch over to attractor techniques, fast-moving flies, gaudy flies, those kind of things. So the throat pump, invaluable tool when you're prospecting lakes. So when you first come to a lake that you've never fished before, or maybe it's the first time you've ever been lake fishing, you realize it's a little different than rivers and streams, moving water fly fishing. Lakes are vast. To some, they're featureless. So how do you find fish? What are some of the things you can do to help you find fish and get that fish of a lifetime? Well, I use 3 key factors: comfort, protection, and food. Comfort factors to me are environmental conditions. The basic survival needs of the trout must be met in order for them to be comfortable. So mostly in lakes, we're talking about oxygen content and its relationship to water temperature. Trout, for example, I like to look for that 60, 65 degree max down to about 50 Fahrenheit as my gauge of an area that trout will be active, the water will be containing enough oxygen, they can move, they can process food, and they're catchable. Protection factors are things that provide trout with a sense of confidence to feed. So things that you're looking for in the protection factors include the water surface. A chop or a ripple is going to break up sunlight, and the trout are going to feel more comfortable there. Flat, calm water, clear conditions, very tough fishing. Clouds have an effect too. Cloud cover blocks light, gives the trout some protection. Weed beds. Weed beds are everything in the lake. They have comfort, protection, and food. So on the protection side of things, it's like a little forest. The trout can meander through there, search, and feel protected and comfortable feeding. Adjacency to depth. Trout like to be near a deep water refuge. So along the edges of drop-offs, points of land where the water gets deeper on either side of that finger of land coming out. These are areas that trout are going to relate to, and you should search out. And finally, food. As fly fishers, we're always trying to imitate the food sources trout feed upon. So when it comes to finding areas where trout are going to be feeding, you're looking to shallow areas, less than 20 feet deep, where you get maximum sunlight penetration, stimulates plant growth through photosynthesis. Plants provide the habitat that the bugs need as well. So it's basically the supermarket of the underwater world, and particularly lakes. So those are the factors I look for when I'm prospecting lakes: comfort, protection, and food. And if you find an area that contains all 3, that's like a prime lie in a river. You're going to find the most and the best fish there. You want to search those places out if you can find them and mark them for next time. That's a fish. Yep, that's a fish. That indicator just went down. Oh, yeah. See what he took. I had one pull down just prior to that. I wasn't sure if it was weeds. We're sitting in about 10 feet of water. Weeds are always an excellent place to search out on any body of water, new or a familiar one, because weeds provide the habitat for the food sources the trout love to feed on. They give off oxygen through photosynthesis. And of course, they provide protection as well, because the trout feel quite secure cruising through that underwater forest, free from aerial predators such as ospreys, loons, us. This is a good fish, giving a good account of itself. This lake is very productive. Scuds, leeches, water boatmen, little minnows, all the kind of food and fodder that a stillwater trout can get big, fat, and healthy. Oh, forearm's getting sore, starting to burn. Fish are full of energy right now. The water temperature is 54 degrees, wonderful trout temperature. And he's tired now, he's showing his sides. stay low, into the basket. We'll take him out of the net. He's full of energy, he wants to go, but that's a healthy Alberta rainbow. Just a few minutes from Medicine Hat. What a beautiful lake to have this close to a town like that. Great accommodation, food, everything you need. And you come out here and catch quality rainbows like that. Wow. When it comes to my stillwater flies, I break them down to three main categories: suggestive patterns, imitative patterns, and attractor patterns. Suggestive patterns are great for prospecting and covering water because they have traits that resemble a lot of different prey items. Imitative patterns come into play when trout are focused on a specific food item. And when trout won't bite, you need to trigger a reaction, that's when you go to the attractor patterns. They're loud, obnoxious, and gaudy. Now, when you're thinking about your flies and want to change, remember this one simple rule, DRP, depth, retrieve, pattern. Everybody focuses on the pattern, but you need to think first, have I got my fly at the right depth? Am I moving it at the right pace? And then think about the pattern. Most people, when they fly fish lakes, don't let their flies sink long enough to get to the right depth or move them slow enough to be accepted by the trout. I'm using a 2-fly rig. I've got a water boatman up top. I've got a balance fly, a balance leech here, an attractor style called a candy corn designed by my good friend Dave Green. Which fly did he take? Always the question. Well, what I do is I use a sliding dropper, and you can see that this dropper is tight against my little barrel swivel here. When I first set it up, it was an inch or two above. So when I brought it in and saw that this was tight against the swivel, I knew the fish ate the upper fly because the tension of him pulling on the fly slides it down to the swivel. So you get an idea of what they're feeding on, and most importantly, what depth they're feeding at. So we're gonna flop it out there again, see if we can get another one. So today we're using indicator tactics, an excellent presentation option on any still water. Works all over the world. Controls two critical elements: speed of your retrieve by how much you move the fly, and depth, simply governed by how far you set your fly or flies below the indicator. I'm using a 10-foot 6-weight rod. I like to use 5s, 6s, and 7s. It's a function of the wind you expect to anticipate, the size of the fish. The long rods allow you to steer and control, greater roll cast, the ability to mend when you're wind drifting, soft forgiving tip area to protect and cushion tippets. Just an excellent tool. Really like the long rods. We're using an indicator style line. In Rio's lines, they've got the indicator extreme or the new trout salmon indicator line. Both of these lines are excellent stillwater options because they're formulated in their design to throw indicators, multiple flies, weight. They have that horsepower to actually turn over your indicator rigs. From the fly line to my flies, I have a real indicator leader. This is a critical piece. If you get anything out of this show, this is the setup. You must use an indicator leader or at least a system that has thin diameter leader or tippet from the indicator to your fly so you get a straight down sink. If you use a standard tapered leader that is typically 50% butt section because they're designed for turning over dry flies, you're going to have different thickness of leader and your leader is not going to sink consistently. So you'll want to make sure you have that thin diameter tippet between your indicator and your flies. Those leaders are 10 feet long. I'm using a 2X leader down to a small number 14 barrel swivel. Below the barrel swivel, I've got 2 feet of Floraflex Plus tippet. And just above the barrel swivel, I've put a little 4 to 6 inch dropper using a sliding dropper system with a water boatman on it. So I've got the water boatman up above, and I've got the balance leech, in this case, a candy corn, bright, vivid colors to attract fish in, and that's my setup. And it works not only here on Bull's Head, but has worked for me all over North America, down into Argentina. I know it'll work for you, so give it a try. we go. Indicator's under again. What did he eat? Hasn't shown up yet. Now he's going. Now he's going. Somebody's not happy. Keep the side pressure on him. That gets the full bend of the rod into the fight. If he runs, we keep the tip high. That's why these long rods are so nice. It's 10-foot 6 weight, so I can steer and control the fish with it. And you want to keep the rod, I like to keep it in sort of the core of my body, so I'm not up high like this. My arms get tired. I can have balance and control with the fight here. This guy's going off behind. Right now it's early in the fight, so he's kind of dictating it. Not sure what he ate yet. I've got a balanced leech on the bottom and a water boatman up the top. It's fall. Water boatmen get active, particularly later in the day when the daytime temperature peaks. Still not sure what he ate. Usually it's the bottom fly because it's the deepest one. And I'm just using my fingers here to guide the line onto the spool so I don't get any high spots. If I get the line piled up on one side of the spool, the fish makes a sudden surging run, could bind up and break off. Well, this is a nice fish, big male. Big male. Again, he's eating that balanced leech, the candy corn. More attractor than actual imitator. As long as it pulls the indicator down, it's all good. All right. Oh, that's a nice tubby fish into the bucket. That's a nice fish. Wow, that's a healthy fat fish. He hasn't missed too many meals. What a wonderful location. Bullshead Lake. Wow, what a beautiful fish. It's been a wonderful stay here in Medicine Hat. Beautiful city, adjacent to Bullshead Reservoir here, 30 minutes away. Quality trophy fishery. Come out here and give it a visit if you're ever out this way. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope the next time you're on a water you haven't fished before, you can use some of the tricks, techniques, and tactics I've shown you here today to increase your odds and your confidence the next time you head out on the water. For more information on this show and others in our informative series, please visit us on the web at thenewflyfisher.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, and we got some great informative videos and past shows on YouTube as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
The New Fly Fisher has been made possible thanks to the support of Medicine Hat DMO, Orvis Sporting Traditions,